All right, good evening, everybody. Wanted to welcome you to the City of Desert Hot Springs. This is our presentation period, and so I wanted to introduce our presentation tonight. This is certificates of recognition presented to the 2024 Future Leaders Program graduates. And these are our first graduates here in Desert Hot Springs under this program. And I'm going to invite up our Community Service Director, Roberta Cernick. I always get her title wrong. Our Assistant to the City Manager, Emily Pierson, and our City Clerk, Gerald Siriano, who we're going to do the presentations.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Roberta Cernick, and I am the Recreation and Community Services Director here. And I just wanted to share a little bit of background about the Future Leaders Program. This program was launched this year, so it's a brand new program. And it was created to inspire and empower high school juniors and seniors. And over the course of 8 weeks, the participants developed leadership skills, gained civic education, and engaged with local government. The program came to life through a collaborative effort between Emily Pierson, who initiated Civics Academy, and Gerald Soriano, our city clerk. And together, we identified the need for a program that prepares young individuals to become active, informed leaders in their communities. So the Future Leaders is a result of that shared vision. So our goal is to do this annually, and we want to thank you for supporting our efforts to inspire and develop the next generation of community leaders. And a big thank you to all 6 young ladies who participated and made this program such a success. Thank you.
And these are our participants. Good evening, my name is Gerald Soriano, and I serve as your city clerk. So I'm going to talk about what the program entailed. So here's an outline of the 8 weeks that the participants endured. We started off with an orientation and an introduction to local government during week 1. In week 2, they were introduced to the various city departments and also provided their feedback on which departments interested them. Week 3, they received a crash course on elections, and they also got a tour of our city facilities, including City Hall, the police department, our dispatch center, animal control, and our corporate yard. On week 4, our HR department met with them and gave them guidance and tips on filling out applications, preparing resumes, and also job interviews. During week 5, we discussed meeting protocols, city council meeting protocols, so they learned that, all the things that go on behind the scenes, and it's essentially a production. During week 6, they met with their mentors based on the departments that they were interested in, and the mentors helped the ladies prepare staff reports. Then that led into week 7, where the mentors helped the ladies prepare the staff reports. And then finally, we held a mock city council meeting in this room where they got to see how everything works. Now I'm going to pass it on to Emily.
All right, young women, when I call your name, please come up here to get your certificate. And we'd like all of you to stand back here. Don't go back and sit down, okay? Okay. Dulce Castro. Corelli Duenas. Who just happens to know our very own Judith Duenas in the Public Works Department. Valeria Gamora. Susan Hernandez. Idali Velasquez. And Araceli Zendejas. Come on up. Thank you. Would you ladies like to say anything? You don't have to.
All right, so you had a mock council meeting. Who was the mayor? Did you roll with, did you get the gavel and everything? Did you have fun? I just want to say thank you for participating in this program. This is the first one, correct? And we're going to have many more. How did each of you decide to do this? Anyone? Anyone? Were you just told to do this, or did you volunteer? You volunteered, so. And then what grades are you in? All seniors? And you're all going to college and you're going to be in politics next? No. After seeing this, you're like, no. Well, we appreciate you. Emily brought a program from her city, from, I want to say Washington, somewhere in Washington, right? Washington State. And she brought a program that was focused around constituents in our community, and it's kind of morphed into what this is today. And so I really appreciate the hard work. Anything else?
I just want to add really quickly that we thought it would be really fun for the girls to participate in something community focused. So all 6 girls will be judging our 2024 Parade of Lights on Saturday. So they get to judge all of the floats and make a decision on who the 5 top float winners will be on Saturday. So thank you.
We want to get the council to stand behind you and have you guys join us in the picture. You got to turn sideways, kind of do the prom picture.
This is one of the first times that we actually show up and all the talk.
I have one thing to say to them. When you finish college, remember, and you need to start talking so you can sit right here. Got it? I can't hear you.
No, and this is a wonderful, wonderful program, and I was working on some civic engagement stuff for young people for another project I was working on, and the statistics of young people being involved in their community and caring about their community is ridiculously low. So to see 6 people up here willing to step up at your age and become involved in the community, learn about your community, learn about becoming involved in the city is really heartwarming, and we need to see a lot more of that. So I'm really excited about this program in the future. So Roberta and Gerald and Emily, fantastic job, and this is going to be really, it's going to really take off. We're going to spread this program to the other cities in the valley too, I hope.
Young ladies, as you go off to college, take time now to write a little narrative, because you're going to need that for your application to college, and you'll be able to use this experience to be good for you. I'm glad you went through it.
Thank you, guys. All right, we're going to take a recess till 5 o'clock. Good evening, everybody. This is the City of Desert Hot Springs adjourned regular meeting of the City Council. And the City Council is serving as a successor agency to the former Redevelopment Agency Board for Thursday, December 12th, 2024. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Betts.
Present.
Councilmember Gardner.
Present.
Councilmember Nunez.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Pai.
Present.
And Mayor Mattis.
Present. Tonight's invocation will be given by Pastor Jerry Johnson of Lily of the Valley. I forgot to turn the mic around, but you'll have to come forward. You can turn the mic around there and just press the button. It'll turn red. Thank you, Pastor. Yeah.
Dear Lord Jesus, as we invoke your divine presence in this council meeting, we want to begin by saying thank you for guiding the mayor, city, council men and women and staff through the success of 2024. Thank you for dispatching your guardian angels to cover our first responders, Thank you for allowing us to disagree without becoming disagreeable. I pray for this council meeting tonight. Give the council members wisdom and guidance as they deliberate on the items before them. May every decision be righteous in thy sight, for our benefit and for your glory. Let your same blessings of 24 follow us in the new year. Help us to thrive in 25. As we work together in unity and by your guidance, our aim is to be better servants for the people of our community. In the blessed name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Pastor, before you leave, thank you for what you've done for our community. And a few weeks ago, I was able to come to your congregation and say a few words on the city's behalf for your service to Lily of the Valley. You've been serving now 28 years? Or
32.
32 years.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. But they recognized him and his wife for their service, and congratulations on being so well liked in your community, and thank you for everything you've done.
All right, thank you. Thank you, guys.
And then if everyone would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Betts, would you lead us?
Please place your hands over your heart and join me in saluting our nation's flag. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'm going to give the rest of the meeting over for the 5 o'clock session here over to Mayor Pro Tem Jan Pye.
Okay, certification of November 5, 2024 general municipal election. Mr. Soriano.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council. The Riverside County Registrar of Voters has completed the canvass of returns of the general municipal election held on November 5th, 2024, and has provided the certification to the results and canvass of election returns. Pursuant to the California Elections Code, upon completion of the canvass and prior to installing new officers, the City Council shall adopt a resolution reciting the fact of the election and declare elected the persons for whom the highest number of votes were cast for each office. Therefore, the resolution before you declares that the following officers were duly elected. For the office of mayor, representing the city at large, is Scott Mattis. For council member representing District 2 is Daniel Pitts, and for council member representing District number 4 is Dirk Voss. Additionally, as a result of the election, the resolution before you deems that Measure P, which is an ordinance imposing a 1-cent transaction and use sales tax, is adopted and ratified. That concludes my staff report.
Thank you, and I call for a motion.
I move we accept the election results.
Second.
Any discussion? Please vote.
Aye.
I don't have anything on mine, Gerald.
It's all right, I voted for all of you. That's good.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Mr. Nunez, come with me. And the mayor is going to present you with a plaque.
It's not easy to be a city council member. It's not easy to serve your constituents and have a life and kids and all the things you have to do to keep everyday life going. Roger took on that task in our community when he was elected to the city council 4 years ago. And he served us well here in this community, representing us in different regional committees and commissions, and all his duties as a council member, and even tried to squeeze in getting a promotion in his job at the same time, which took up a lot of his time. But he's a good man who chose to serve his community, and he did it well. And today we recognize him for his dedicated service as City of Desert Hot Springs as a valued member of the City Council from December 2020 to December 2024.
Well, no, I didn't. Good evening. I didn't prepare anything. I was actually still at work. I was writing up a report, so I do apologize for being late. What can I say? I love serving the community. I'm not going to stop serving the community. I can say I want to thank staff. Staff is very knowledgeable. There's Mr. Pitts. Use your staff. They're very knowledgeable. They love their city, and just let them guide you. They'll you just ask them questions. They'll be there for you. I want to thank this council, especially the mayor. It's been 4 years, and it's been an honor serving the residents of Desert Hot Springs. So thank you, guys. Thank you.
Mr. Betts, would you come down?
So on behalf of the City of Desert Hot Springs, there's no secrets. Mr. Betts and I are like stepbrothers. We argue about issues, we debate issues, sometimes we even shout at each other. But when it comes down to it, he served 17 years and deserves to be given the recognition for his service to his community, and it's not easy to run against a seated mayor. He made it very close. It was a well-run campaign, and he's dedicated his time for 17 years to his community. So congratulations, and on behalf of the City Council, and for your dedicated service and as a valued member of the City Council, we want to recognize you for being in service from December 2007 till December 2024. And I think we have another representative from Sunline here that would like to have a few words. Here, this is yours.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, you want to...
Thank you very much, Mayor Mattis, Pro Tem Pai, and City Council members, and thank you very much, Frank, for the invitation to join all of you this evening. I'm Mona Babautam, the CEO and General Manager for Sunline Transit Agency, and on Council Member and Director Betts' last meeting here with Desert Hot Springs, I wanted to come and formally acknowledge and honor the contributions that he has made to Sunline Transit Agency and to the Coachella Valley and to Desert Hot Springs. He has been with the board since 2014, so it's been about 10 years. And since then, we've done a number of things. We've built a new operations building. We've completed an administration building. We completed a hydrogen fueling station recently. He's helped support efforts to lead to our investments in hydrogen technology and zero emission, which has, of course, led to a healthier and cleaner Coachella Valley. And so all of the work that he's done on behalf of the Valley has led to acknowledgement statewide. We won the California Transit Association Outstanding Transportation Agency of the Year Award back in 2022, and we were also recognized nationally last year, winning the Outstanding Transit Agency from the American Public Transportation Agency. So we are going to miss all of the contributions that he has provided, and with that, we want to thank you again for everything that you have done for Sunline, for the team, and on behalf of the board of directors, we are going to miss you. So thank you very much, and we look forward to working closely with the city's next representative to continue to do great things.
It's going to be a surprise. We don't know yet.
Oh, okay. So thank you very much.
Oh, great, thank you. Oh, nice, look at that. That was all of us on the last day. That's wonderful, thank you. Oops. I won't take too long, but I've been up here for 17 years, and today it's my day to say goodbye. Along with my council role came service on the various boards and commissions. This morning, I had the privilege of serving at the Airport Land Use Commission. I got an early morning send-off from them. It was nice, and last week I had a nice send-off from Sunline, and so it makes departure from this role much nicer. You know, one of the greatest rewards has been helping residents as they deal with issues with City Hall, with utilities, and also with different challenges that come up in their life where, as a council member, you have a unique ability to be able to help them sort through some of those issues. My wife and I moved here. I traded my suit and tie. I left the tie off today, sorry. But I traded my suit and tie for flip-flops and shorts. And now I get to go back and put those back on again after this meeting. But I am really thankful for the opportunity to serve this community and really glad I availed myself of the opportunity to do so. I've had my share of no votes here, Mr. Mayor. And I wish I had prevailed, but we've also done a lot of good work and had a lot of good yes votes. And one of them is the Health and Wellness Center building. I don't know, it's unsung, but there's a $24 million building that we got for free. It was with the leadership of the past councils, and I'm really proud to be a part of that. I've been in this position before. I served in elected office in Pennsylvania, and they had term limits, and as soon as my term was up, I quickly realized nobody wanted to hear from the person going out. They were looking towards the future and the new council members. And so that's the situation here today. So I just want to say that I feel a really deep sense of accomplishment with all the work that we've done over the past 17 years. It's really nice to drive around the city and see, say, hey, I got that done, I got that done. And that's a part of it. But now I'm putting on the flip-flops and the shorts again. And I wish the very best to our council and the mayor. They've got some hard work ahead, and I'm sure they'll do fine. And to the voters and the residents of Desert Hot Springs, thank you very much for this opportunity that you've given me to serve you. And I couldn't be more proud to be standing here and say thank you. So that's it. Of course. Great, thank you. And Scott?
Roadrunner and Coyote time.
My friend.
Where do we go? Back up.
Mr. Pitts. Mr. Pitts, Daniel Pitts is with council member of District 2. You ready to be certified?
Speak into the mic.
Oh, sorry. They want me to speak in front of the mic. Daniel Pitts is council member of District 2. He's ready to be certified.
I just switch sides so that you are. Please raise your right hand. Do you, Daniel Pitts, do solemnly swear or affirm that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic? I will. That you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California? I do. That you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion? I do. And that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you're about to enter? Congratulations, and here is your certificate of election.
Thank you so much, Gerald. Thank you so much. I'm just going to speak real quick. I just want to express my heartfelt gratitude to our neighbors who voted for me and supported my vision to move Desert Hot Springs forward. Your trust and encouragement truly humbles me. A special thank you to my dedicated team who worked tirelessly throughout this campaign. I'm excited to collaborate with our mayor and city council members to enhance the beauty of our city of Desert Hot Springs. As the outgoing council member Russell Betts, I want to thank you for your years of service and dedication to our city. You have played a vital role in its growth and success. And to my former opponent and outgoing council member Roger Nunez, thank you for your valuable contributions to our community.
Mr. Voss. Dirk Voss is council member District 4, and he's ready to be certified.
Please raise your right hand. Do you, Dirk Voss, solemnly swear or affirm that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic?
I do.
That you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California?
I do.
That you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion?
I do.
And that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you're about to enter?
I do.
Congratulations, and here is your certificate of election.
All right. So this has always been a lifelong dream of mine since I was in my early 20s and got involved in the world of politics. So to be community service and do these type of things. I want to thank the good Lord for what he's provided for me and the health and strength and guidance to winning. I want to thank my father. I want to thank Five Star Gym community for their support in my campaign, my motorcycle community and brothers, church community and their support and prayers, the political and community leaders who endorsed and supported my campaign, along with the professional associations, the volunteers that helped the campaign and may help us make success. I want to thank the candidates, and I see Charles is here. I want to thank the candidates that ran. Nobody got negative. Everyone stuck to their theme, what their issues were and where they were at. They didn't get negative. And so I really appreciate that and look forward to working with him in our community. It's an honor to be the first elected official for District 4. So there's a ceiling that I've got to keep and work really hard for. Most importantly, though, is I want to thank all the residents in the district for voting and supporting me, and those that helped out. And lastly, it's the Rams against the 49ers, and so we're going to say go Rams.
I like being in charge. And with that, Mr. Mayor, and your family. Scott Mattis has been re-elected as mayor, and he's ready to be certified.
Please raise your right hand. Do you, Scott Mattis, do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic?
I will.
That you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California?
I will.
That you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion?
I will.
And that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you're about to enter? Congratulations.
So we started this journey a little over a year ago. My wife and family sat down and talked. Anyone that knows me knows that I was done in the last election. I was like, I'm not going to do this anymore. It was too much. It was COVID. And my wife kept saying, no, you're not. You're going to do one more. And I kept saying, no, I'm done. She said, no, you're going to do one more. And so we talked about it, and we felt we still had some energy. And because of COVID, we had a lot to accomplish still. I got to address staff this morning here in City Hall, and I said, you know, it felt like we were stuck in this bubble with COVID and we just couldn't get out of it, and people didn't want to go out and be at meetings. And this year, finally, when we were going to meetings, you're seeing things sold out and you're seeing people back into the groove of things. And I feel like, wow, I think we can move forward and we can get some real things done. But first, I want to try to do this without getting too emotional. That's why my wife's standing behind me. But I want to thank my supporters, anyone out there that supported me through this campaign. This was a tough one. This is my 7th time here at the dais being sworn in. My 4th time as the mayor of the city of Desert Hot Springs, and 3 times before that as a council member. And this was the toughest. But without the supporters, this couldn't have happened. So I really appreciate all of you. And a shout out to Jim Nadell over there holding the camera. The job's over, man. You don't need to do any more for my campaign, but no, I appreciate you. He was there from day one, and to thank Gary Gardner behind me and Jam Pie, who supported me as I've supported them through the years. They're just great people working for the betterment of this community. To Roger, man, I appreciated everything you've done for this community. I appreciate you partnering with us the way you did, and there's a lot more to be done, and just because you're not sitting there doesn't mean you can't be a part of this. And to Mr. Betts, I think I said everything I needed to say earlier, but thank you for your service, and it's not easy to spend 17 years. So most people know I was elected 6 months or 7 months before Mr. Betts was in a special election, and then he was elected. So we spent the full time on the city council working well together for the most part. Thank you to my family. They're all here today. Dad, thanks. Debbie, you guys are just been a rock for me. I'm not going to turn around, because if I do, I'm not going to be able to say it, but my oldest son wasn't able to make it tonight. He's in school and traveling, and he did reach out. But my youngest son's here, Owen. Those two have been through all of them with me. But this room over here is a mirror. I can see you guys. But it was tough. The very first election, there was a group of people that ran around town putting signs up, "No on Scott Mattis." And my dedication to this community, my family had to sacrifice a lot for that. So to my 2 boys, thank you. To my wife and daughters who came in halfway through my my political life here and joined me. 2 of my daughters are out of the city today, and they're watching live here, so I'm sure they'll make fun of me eventually. But I got my youngest here and my wife, who've been encouraging, because at one point in 2015 I was done being on the city council, didn't want to do it anymore, and she encouraged me to run for mayor at that time because of our history here in the community and our dedication. And I say that as ours because she's born and raised here as I am, and our lives have been about the city of Desert Hot Springs. And to all my friends and my aunt and uncle are here today. Thank you so much to all of you for being part of my life and being just big supporters. But being a leader is, as a mayor, I'm only 1 vote, and I think the best way to describe being a leader is not only leading these meetings, but being able to compromise with my fellow council members. When issues need to be done in the community, compromise is what you have to be able to accomplish. I can't rule with an iron fist, as some people think the mayor does. I was given a tour to a bunch of elementary kids one day, and they asked me where the mayor's mansion was. I said, only if. But there's a lot of misconceptions on what government really is. I go to work each and every day to make a living, and I do this on the side. I do give full-time effort, but it is a side job for the most part because we have our real lives as council people. But this takes up a lot of time, and as the mayor, I will commit to continuing to work with all my council members whether I agree with them or not. I'm looking forward to the 2 newest members of our council here. I have high hopes for what we can accomplish for at least 2 years as we all sit together, and possibly 4. I'm thrilled to see what the future holds for us. What does the next 2 years look like? I'm promising the community of Desert Hot Springs a strategic planning session. City manager and I have been talking about this for a few months now. And in January, we'll be planning the future of Desert Hot Springs for 2 and 4 years and even further out than that. And this sets policy, as a lot of people don't realize a lot of times. We as council members, we are at the 30,000 foot view. We are the ones that make the policy and then have these good people behind me and to the side of me implement those things. And so I look forward to working with our staff to really build a plan for the city of Desert Hot Springs. We were set back a little bit when our city manager left and we hired Frank Lucchino as our city manager, and he was kind of stuck in a quandary. It's an election year, he was brand new, there was a few things going on that he had to right the ship on, and so he had a rough year trying to figure out where we're going. But moving forward, he is going to have hopefully great direction and not have to pander to 5 of us wondering what's going on. So I appreciate you, I really do. And to this constituents of Desert Hot Springs, I hear you. This election was pretty split, right? And I know that a lot of you supported me and a lot of you didn't support me, but what goes forward is, what can I do to make you believe in the city of Desert Hot Springs? You don't have to believe in me, but believe in the city of Desert Hot Springs. My cup is usually always half full, and every time I'm out in the public, I talk highly of the community, and I will continue to do that moving forward. When there's issues behind the scenes, we'll talk about those, we'll accomplish those, and we'll get those fixed. I hear you, Desert Hot Springs. I know Little Morongo doesn't look exactly like you wanted it to with this elaborate bridge, but we're going to fix it, and we're going to make it so you can travel from point A to point B. I understand Palm Drive has its issues, and our police department is doing everything they can to slow traffic down so that lives aren't lost. But it goes both ways. And I've said this before in the past, it's not a one-way street. Me as a council member, I'm just a resident here in Desert Hot Springs trying to make policy that will help us all be safe. But you have to participate too. It's a two-way street. So if you want people to slow down, you've got to slow down. If you want roads to be built, you got to help me advocate for those. And if you need things, you got to stop using social media as a bullying tool. And I'm not saying all of you do this. I'm not saying that the majority does this, but there's a small factor of people that do this, and this is wrong. We teach our kids not to bully in school and not to bully people on social media, but we forget as adults not to do that to other adults. And I think what we need to do moving forward is to continue to say, I will reach out to you and give you my opinions on whatever is important to me, but I'll do it in a professional way. I have a heart, and I take things offensively sometimes myself, and I become offensive, or I become someone that's trying to protect our community with the facts. If anyone's ever listened to my information that I put out there, I always start and end with, these are the facts. You don't have to agree with them, because I don't always agree with them, but they are the facts. Government has this stigma about it. As soon as you say government, everybody's corrupt and no one's doing the job, and everybody just comes to work to punch in, drink coffee, eat donuts, and do nothing, right? But we learn that that's not the truth when you meet good people. Earlier at 4:30, we had the Future Leaders program, which was 6 young ladies from our high school, all seniors, that took a minute out of their busy schedules and spent a few months learning about the community. And we do that at the constituent level. You can sign up for those classes also in our community. And you get to meet, it has nothing to do with the political figures sitting up here, it has to do with our departments and our staff. And today I want to again applaud our staff for everything they've done in our community. They are the backbones of everything that we do. I can sit up here and talk forever about policy and about things, and I can be one of the votes that vote to move a project, but these are the men and women that work for our community each and every day, whether they're carrying a gun or a shovel or a pin or just answering questions. They are working hard for you, the residents of the city of Desert Hot Springs. Let's give them a round of applause. Moving forward, what does the community look like? We're out of COVID. There's no reason to be afraid of each other anymore. We're going to bring back citizens committees. If you want to get involved, whether you supported me or not, you're more than welcome to get involved. I will be reaching out on socials. I'll be reaching out through our city staff, and I hope that you get involved. Your word is so important when it comes to what you want to see for the future of Desert Hot Springs. We can't build a road so you can travel over it and then months later tell us it's terrible if you didn't come with the opinions when we were planning it. Better communication by the City of Desert Hot Springs. We've talked a lot about this. There's a ton of communication done already, but not everybody knows where to get it, and we're going to work really hard. I heard you, Desert Hot Springs, that we need better communication, and we're going to work on that. And again, on social media, we're going to use it as a tool to get information out there, but we're not going to allow people to bully us on it. If you don't have opinions that are going to help the problem, then keep them to yourself. Or give us an opinion in a professional way so we can help find a solution to the problem. Get involved, that's all I ask, and that's 4 years, get involved. I've spent 17 years on the city council. I spent 20 years volunteering with the fire department. I spent 25 years volunteering with Little League, multiple years volunteering with our food program. I've given a lot back to my community. I'm not asking you to do all that. All I'm asking for is just a little bit of your time to show up to one of these meetings. I'm going to stop babbling on here. We're going to take a break here in a few seconds, and so everybody can say hi, and then we can reset the dais for the new city council. But I hope that I've inspired a few of you in our community to get more involved over the next 4 years as I finish my last term. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I turn it back to you.
We're officially adjourned until 6 o'clock. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. We're going to call to order again the City of Desert Hot Springs adjourned regular meeting of the City Council, and the City Council serving as the successor agency to the former Redevelopment Agency Board for Thursday, December 12th, 2024. This is our 6 p.m. regular session. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Gardner,
Present.
Councilmember Pitts,
Present.
Councilmember Pai,
Present.
Councilmember Voss,
Present.
and Mayor Mattis.
Present. We've already done the invocation and pledge of allegiance, so we're going to move to the appointment of the mayor pro tem. Each year, the mayor has the honor to suggest and have the city council ratify the mayor pro tem. I've always done this in seniority order. This year, looking at the makeup of the city council, I'm asking Gary Gardner to be the mayor pro tem. Would you accept? And I accept a motion and a second on this.
So moved?
Second.
Motion is second. If there's no further discussion, please vote.
You moved.
Why does it say pledge of allegiance thing here?
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. On the approval of the agenda at this time, the city council may amend the order of the agenda, approve the consent calendar, remove items from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action, add urgency items. Before I finish the rest of my thought here, I do know there's a few items on the consent calendar that might be pulled off. Mr. Gardner?
Yes, I'm going to pull items 11, 12, 13, and 14.
City manager and I were a little aggressive on the agenda today with the consent calendar, but that leaves items 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on any of those items? See nobody coming forth. And that was your motion? Or would that
I'll
be your
make a motion to approve the consent calendar minus those items.
There's a second?
I'll second.
Push on the screen, there you go. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. At this time, under public comments pursuant to the Brown Act, any person may comment on matters of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council not listed on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, the City Council shall not take action on or discuss matters raised during public comment portion of the agenda that are not listed on the agenda. All comments are be directed to the City Council and shall be devoid of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain professional, courteous decorum during public comments. I have no blue cards. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on public comments not on that are not on listed items on the agenda, just general comments? Did you have one? No? Okay. Then we're going to close public comments and we'll go to the city manager's report.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Just one update for myself, and I'll turn it over to Ms. Wilms for some additional updates. But just wanted to update the council on, as the council is aware, there's been some incidents on Palm Drive as it relates to traffic accidents, 6 in total over the past several weeks. And just for some perspective, just wanted to, talk a little bit about this. From Camino Aventura to I-10, this calendar year, there had been 25, actually last year, calendar year 23, there was 25 accidents that involved injury or death. This year, it's actually down. It's 20 accidents this year in 24, calendar year 24, that involved injury or death. And now, every accident is too many, right? Absolutely. And we continue to work on trying to figure out and address issues to reduce that even further. I wanted to assure you, council, and the community staff has taken notice. The most recent incidents, and as public servants, we're looking to address that. But I also want to implore, and I think similar to what the mayor mentioned earlier for our residents and our visitors, slow down and drive responsibly. I wrote down a few things that we are kind of looking at as it relates to addressing the issue. And it was funny when I put it down, given it's the Christmas holiday, it's capital operations, collaboration, and outreach, which spells cocoa, and it's Christmas time, so, and that's part of the reason, we want everybody to be safe, not only now because it's Christmas, but all year. So from a capital perspective, we are working towards some improvements there on Palm Drive, and just pulling it up here on my email. We're investing, $9.7 million on Palm Drive that is grant funded. And again, back to on Palm Drive from Camino Aventura to I-10. And that will be a new traffic signal at 20th. 3.7 miles of new curb, gutter, and sidewalks on both sides of Palm. 138 new streetlights. New bike lanes and crosswalks, asphalt rehabilitation, and ADA improvements. So that in itself will help, with traffic calming, especially the lights. From an operational perspective, another traffic calming step that the staff has taken, just to give some perspective too of what we've been doing, we have pulled over 200 people over the last several days and have written, 150 citations during that time frame. So we're hoping that too, from a traffic calming perspective, is going to help. We're collaborating, as the council is aware, and maybe information for the public, Palm Drive is split between 2 jurisdictions. Which is not obvious to the average person, but we know it is, but the average person doesn't. Palm, for the most part, from Dillon to the freeway on the east side is the county of Riverside, and then towards the freeway is Cat City. The other side to the west is the city. But we're collaborating. We're collaborating with those entities on solutions to try to figure out how to calm the traffic even further. Then finally, the O in cocoa and outreach. So we're on Facebook. Our CMS signs, we're out there. And the public too is talking. The public too is telling their peers, slow down, right? Facebook, we're saying slow down, give yourself extra time. Everybody's late for work or late for something and trying to speed up and drive responsibly. And also on our CMS sign, we have slow down and speed enforcement by radar. So those are the steps, the staff is taking on Palm to address the situation that is currently there. Turn it over to Ms. Wilms for other updates.
Thank you, City Manager Lucchino. So first, I'm going to ask Jeffrey Buckheim, our Administrative Services Director, to provide us some financial highlights.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and council members. These are our financial highlights for the General Fund and Public Safety Fund as of November 30th, 2024. Our 24-25 year-to-date revenues are over $7.8 million, which is 23% of our amended budget. Last year at this time, we had $6.3 million, which is 19% of that year's budget, and 2 years ago we were at $6.4 million, which was 20% of the budget. For expenditures this year, they are over $13.5 million, which is at 42% of the budget. Last year at this time, it was at $14.5 million, which was also 42% of the budget. Last year it was higher due to the storm cleanup costs from Tropical Storm Hillary. And then 2 years ago, we were at just over $13 million, which was 37% of the budget. And that is my report.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Next, I'd like to ask our Recreation and Community Services Director, Roberta Cernick, to provide us with some community updates.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm excited to share a quick update about our Adopt a Senior Wish Tree program. So this is our first year hosting this initiative, and I'm actually blown away by all the amazing support from our community. So thank you to everyone who has already adopted a senior. So far, 65 seniors have been adopted, leaving 7 remaining. So at the Senior Center, you'll find, Gerald has a picture, our wish trees decorated with ornaments. Each ornament represents a senior, and it includes their name, age, and 3 items that they would love to receive this Christmas. So this program aims to bring joy and support to seniors who may be without family connections or facing financial challenges during the holiday season. If you'd like to adopt one of the remaining 7 seniors, please contact Melanie Lyons over at the Desert Hot Springs Senior Center. And finally, the event everyone has been waiting for, our annual Parade of Lights and Holiday Festival, is this Saturday, December 14th at 5:45, and it does end at 10 p.m. The parade starts at Palm and Mission Lakes Boulevard and ends at Palm and 2nd Street. The Holiday Festival immediately follows on Palm and Pierson, and we'll have food vendors, live music, free pictures with Santa, free carnival rides, free face painting, free cotton candy, and watch as we light our Christmas tree here at City Hall, making it officially feel like the holiday season. So please invite your family and friends to join us for this celebration, and it is an event no one wants to miss. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberta. That concludes our updates.
Thank you very much. We're going to go to City Council comments. I'll start with Ms. Pye.
Okay, I'll make it short. For October, this is Do the Right Thing. The student was Philip Moore of Desert Springs Middle School. And for December, which is on the 15th, Andre Murrow from Painted Hills Middle School. And also, the state superintendent, Sunline first. Sunline did a thing for seniors, and what happened was those who won, local buses will have their artwork on them. And our person is Naomi Nicole, a 12th grader at Desert Hot Springs High School. And the display was on, oh shoot, let's see. I forgot what the display was on, but when you see Sunbus and its art is from a student at Desert Hot Springs High School. Also, every month, the superintendent does a thing for Coachella Valley High School students, and it's Edwin Gomez who does it, who is the superintendent of schools, and he states that silence the stories of determination and resilience shared by the students at the Greater Coachella Valley Student of the Month events are truly inspiring. And we had one again from Desert Hot Springs High School, and it's Junior Armando Castellano. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one external meeting to report on. Visit Greater Palm Springs hosted the annual Champions of Hospitality dinner on November 25th. And hospitality is one of the things Desert Hot Springs is known for, especially our boutique hotels. Desert Hot Springs boutique spas and hotels were well represented, bringing home 6 nominations, and this is from all over the valley, and 2 awards. In the boutique or hot springs hotel front of the house category, Madeline Beltran and Kim Hudson of Azure Palm and Angel Guzman of Two Bunch Palms were all nominated, and Kim Hudson won. In the boutique or hot spring hotel, heart of the house category, the nominees from Desert Hot Springs were Veronica Gutierrez Gonzalez at the Spring Resort and Spa, Thelma Lopez at Two Bunch Palms, and Sonia Solomon at Azure Palms, with Veronica Gutierrez Gonzalez winning the trophy. These are all fantastic awards, and the banquet honors all of the people in the hospitality industry that make our valley so welcoming, and why tourism is our #1 economic engine here in the valley. It's the only meeting I had to report on, but seeing as we have new council members up here and we're starting a new year just about, I have a quote that I wanted to put out to all of my colleagues up here. It's about a man who moves a mountain, and we're often asked to move mountains up here. And you start by carrying away a small stone. I always say, as I'm going through life, as I come to a mountain that seems overwhelming to me, to scale it, to go around it, to move it out of the way, what can I do? I can pick up a stone. I could chip a little piece of it, pick it up, move it out of the way. Now, if I pick up a stone, and you pick up a stone, get someone else to pick up a stone, we get all the people to pick up a stone, it's a domino effect, the ripple effect. We can all make a big difference. I can't pick up 1,000,000 stones. I can't pick up 1,000,000,000 stones, but I can get 1,000,000 people or 1,000,000,000 people to pick up a stone, then we can move the mountain. And that's our job here. And it's like the mayor said too, it's a two-way street. We can do what we can to reduce speeding, to ticket speeders, but it takes people to slow down. So if we're all in this together, let's all pick up a stone and move that mountain. That's all I got.
Well said. Mr. Voss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let's see, I've got a few items here. So Joshua Springs Community Church, which is up in Yucca Valley for the first time, we're community leaders up there from school board, the elected offices, the city and the county and what have you go there. And this is the first year that they invited representatives from Desert Hot Springs. And so I was present, our city manager was present, and I was honored to be one who was introduced to read a scripture as part of that. But even more so, what was more exciting is that they introduced us as representatives from the city of Desert Hot Springs, and it was for the first time that we've been there. So it's kind of nice because we're so close to that area. Morongo Valley's right there. We have kind of a nexus between them. So it was a nice entryway there. Also, city manager and I had the pleasure of meeting with some of the economic development folks with the Agua Caliente tribe, just to kind of begin a relationship of what are your thoughts, what are our thoughts, kind of get to know each other a little bit and work on some of those relationships with that, including invitations to different events and activities that we do and vice versa. So we can kind of start bringing our city with them. I too attended the Champions of Hospitality Awards event that Gary and Jan had talked about. That was a great there, and it was really nice to see people from our own. What I really liked, one was it was nice to see people from our own town there that got awards, but the other thing is it was nice to see the valet driver, the cook, the line worker, the people who work every single day to make the job that we expect. We just have an expectation, right? But these folks were getting awards and being presented and getting on stage, and you could tell they were a little shy and nervous and what have you. But it was really nice to see that this just wasn't something for the executives and the ties and those type of things. And so it was nice to see that. I attended the Palm Springs Master Plan Airport presentation they did. Went over to that. I think that's a really great thing that they're going to be doing with the airport over there. It'll really be helpful for economic development stuff and with the expansion they have on that. So that's something that I'm excited about for our city. And then the other day, what was that, Saturday? Yeah, we attended the Desert Hot Springs Women's Club annual Black and White Dinner at the Miracle Springs, and the fundraiser for what they do for the sponsorship for the kids. And that's all for my first report.
Thank you, Mr. Boss. Mr. Pitts.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. At this time, I do not have anything to report on.
Didn't have a million committees yet.
Yeah.
We'll get you. We're going to get you involved. With that said, I have a few things to talk about, but before I do that, talking about committees, how it works for the city of Desert Hot Springs is that we have seats on many regional and county committees, commissions, those types of things, and I'll be reaching out to the city council no later than next week with what's available. And I've already talked to all the council members, but I just want the public to know that we'll be selecting those in January. Also, our city clerk will be posting, if he hasn't already, the application process for commissions here in the city of Desert Hot Springs. Has that already been posted or is coming up?
That'll be out next week.
Next week. So if you're interested in serving on a commission, we have 2 new council members, and they'll be given an opportunity, along with the rest of us, to look at the applications for the Public Safety Commission and the Planning Commission and be able to appoint an individual and have the city council ratify that in January, at the first meeting in January, which is the 3rd Tuesday. Also, as I stated, if you were watching earlier during my swearing in, is that I plan to bring back quite a few citizens committees in different areas that are going to be important for the city of Desert Hot Springs moving forward. If you're interested in those, please watch out for those. It's not going to happen overnight. It'll probably be closer to the first of the year when we start announcing that, maybe even further out after the strategic planning session, that we see other areas that will be needed, that we need citizens' input. And these will be committees that you can give your opinions on, help form, or help produce a plan for us in the future, similar to the Parks Committee we had in the past, the Downtown Committee, those types of committees. So really want you to get involved. So if you're watching now and listening, please look out for those. As the city manager said, slow down on Palm Drive. We've had a lot of people reaching out to a lot of us through social media and I've had phone calls and text messages. We understand that it's a problem, and we're doing everything we can legally on our portion. So today I was at City Hall this morning and I left, and I don't usually drive down Palm Drive, but I drove down to see exactly if people were driving slower, and they are. There was about 6 of us in a line, 3 in each lane, driving about 55 miles an hour along Palm Drive as a person passed us in the emergency lane. Unfortunately, police officers had somebody pulled over ahead of us. So it is working. People are slowing down, but there's still those individuals out there that are not. Please slow down, and whether you're on Palm Drive or any street. I took a defensive driving class when I worked for UPS in the early 90s, and they showed a video, which was a little comic strip about a guy trying to get to work as fast as he could, and he arrived 2 minutes faster than the other person, but almost killed about 5 people on the way over there because he just had to be in a hurry. And you just got to be careful. Really got to be careful. We also, during this past weekend, heard a lot about Little Morongo, and it's kind of I don't understand it a lot of times when people haven't paid attention to why the road was there, and sometimes it's frustrating to me. So I hope my comments, when I do reply back, don't seem short, but a lot of times we have answered these questions over and over and over again, and someone new comes along and says, well, there's water going across the road. We know. We really know the federal government forces us to do certain things in certain ways to be reimbursed, and that's a natural waterway that has to be allowed for the water to flow through. But to keep that road open, Our engineers were only allowed to do so much. So with that said, we still plan to build a bridge someday. I don't know if it'll be in Danny's lifetime because he's younger than me. I know it won't be in my lifetime, but I hope before I leave in 4 years, at least we can find some funding and start planning for that in the future. We are studying it through the region. The Coachella Valley Association of Governments are studying those areas to hopefully build something. We did receive $50 million to help build lifted roadways or fabricated bridges on Indian Canyon to keep that roadway open. And that's in the process of design and the environmentals, and we hope that that's a leader in what Palm Geometry will look like and other areas such as Little Morongo, and even the future of as good and as good as it works along Dillon and Indian, where we lift the roads there and put those big culverts in. Eventually those will need bridges too. So those are in the planning stages, and unfortunately government can never work fast enough for anyone. But we are working on it, and that's all I can hope for in the future is a plan. I did attend the CVAG Executive Committee meeting. The only thing I will say about that meeting that kind of pertained to us is the Homelessness Committee, which Ms. Pye sits on, did produce a good neighbor policy. They had a lot of discussion about individual cities having policy to drive people back to the city that they came from if they choose to and have an address there. We've kind of had a struggle with that because we've actually had recorded video of people being dropped off at the edges of our city and not at their homes that they should have been dropped off at by other agencies. So I did give an earful about that. A good neighbor program is fine, but it's got to be implemented across the board and everybody's got to adhere to it. And you can't just drop people off on the outskirts of the cities when they still have to walk 2 or 3 miles to get to wherever they want to go. So they're actually pushed us back towards some other committees, and they're going to look at it a little deeper, but it's moving in the right direction in hopes that other cities will participate. The Palm Springs Realtors Association, who does a lot of work up here in Desert Hot Springs, had their installation at the Agua Caliente Spa in Palm Springs, and I was invited to attend that. And Riverside County Transportation Commission had a meeting yesterday, and I attended that. Nothing directly pertaining to the city of Desert Hot Springs, so I won't bore you with the details on that. And finally, this is our last meeting of 2024. We will come back again in January of 2025, the third Tuesday of that month, unless a special meeting is needed. I wanted to wish everyone happy holidays. However you celebrate, please be safe. I will not be attending the holiday parade this year. I don't want rumors to start. So tonight when I was sworn in, one of my son's best friends was here with his future wife, and future being in 2 days. They both grew up here. I met Zane when he was in elementary school with my son, and I met his future wife when they met in high school. They both went off to graduate school, and I got to swear him in as the mayor of Desert Hot Springs to the California bar as an attorney. And they're coming back to Desert Hot Springs to get married this Saturday. So I committed to it months ago, not realizing, and committed to officiating the marriage a couple months ago, not realizing it'd be the same day as the parade. So I think Gary's just going to wave for me out there, and people.
I look more like Santa than you anyway.
You do. And as Mayor Pro Tem, he'll do the countdown and light the tree and introduce the city council. But I hope the whole city council can join. It's a holiday event here in Desert Hot Springs. Is one of the best that's put on. I guarantee you across the valley. And so, if you're watching or you have nothing to do that evening, come out and see the parade and walk through the festivities. Woo, tongue-tied. I've been talking way too much tonight. And enjoy yourself on behalf of the city of Desert Hot Springs as we celebrate the holiday season here. And again, just be safe out there. And after this meeting will be dark. And to staff, thank you for everything you've done in 2024. Happy holidays to all of you. Take some time off if you can and celebrate with your families and get re-energized to come back to the city, because when we hit the strategic planning in January, we're going to hit the ground running as a city council. I'm looking forward to it. All right, let's get to business. We did have a few items, but Gary put off 16 items, so we have to, no, I'm joking.
There's sandwiches in the back.
We're going to start with the public hearing first. It's item number 2. It's an application for the Pierson Commercial Specific Plan to develop a convenience store with a fueling station, drive-through car wash, and a quick service restaurant. Mr. Clark.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Principal Planner Patricia Villagomez will present this application for you.
Thank you very much. Oh, time out, one second. I've got a possible recusal. Are you,
Because we voted on this when I was planning commission.
so should he recuse himself from this since he voted on his planning commission?
I recommend Councilmember Voss recuse himself.
So Mr. Voss will be recusing himself. He was the planning commission chair. He's going to step away from the dais. He's going to go eat a sandwich. All right, as soon as he's off the dais, Patricia, you can get started.
Okay, thank you. The Pierson Commercial Specific Plan project consists of approximately 3.99 acres of land located on the northwest corner of Pierson Boulevard and Indian Canyon Drive within the mixed-use neighborhood zoning district as shown here. The Pierson Commercial Specific Plan proposes to construct and operate a 9-island fueling station, a 7,460 square foot convenience store with a drive-through for prepackaged food pickup, a 1,790 square foot drive-through car wash, and a 2,000 square foot quick service restaurant. The application also includes a request for a Type 20 ABC license, which is issued to retail stores and authorizes the sale of beer and wine for consumption off the premises where sold, and minors are allowed on the premises. The project will provide 2 access points off Indian Canyon Drive and 1 access point on Pierson Boulevard. The developer will be constructing their fair share of off-site improvements, which include half-street improvements from centerline to right-of-way on Pierson and Indian Canyon. The project will be developed through a phased approach. The first phase will consist of the Beyond Food Mart, drive-through, convenience store, and a car wash, as well as a fueling station. Phase 2, which is the northern portion of the site, is for the future quick service restaurant. The specific plan envisions a contemporary commercial development with retro-inspired design. The project proposes a contemporary palette of mixed materials and colors. Building facades creatively combine materials such as metal cladding and painted stucco to complement the massing and architectural style used. The design utilizes and ensures that all development within the specific plan is complementary to the proposed project and the surrounding community. As shown here, the car wash elevations will be architecturally compatible with the proposed new development. The QSR elevations, as shown here, is part of Phase 2 and are conceptual. The applicant at this time does not have a tenant. Once the tenant is secured, the applicant will need to submit to city staff to ensure that the resulting project is high quality and functionally cohesive. The Pierson Commercial Specific Plan envisions landscaping that is sensitive to its desert setting, using water-efficient vegetation to soften and complement the appearance of the development. Landscaping will be designed to visually enhance the development and must adhere to the requirements of the city's landscaping requirements and Mission Springs Water District standards. Shown here are some of the proposed trees and shrubs. And here is a perspective view for reference. A draft mitigated negative declaration was prepared in accordance with the requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act and the CEQA guidelines to determine whether there are potential significant impacts associated with the development of the proposed project. And with that, this is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Desert Hot Springs to do the following. Adopt the mitigated negative declaration, ENV 23-3 and monitoring plan. Approve the Pierson Commercial Specific Plan number 22-4. Approve development permit number 22-8. And approve an ordinance adding chapter 17.260, an application for the Pierson Commercial Specific Plan to develop a convenience store with a fueling station, a drive-through car wash, and a quick service restaurant located on a 3.99 acre parcel, APN 664-080-017, subject to the conditions of approval and findings. That concludes my report. I'm available if you have any questions, and the applicant is also here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me follow the script here. This is a public hearing. If you received the staff report, we'll entertain questions of City Council right now before we get to opening the public hearing. Is there any specific questions for staff? Mr. Pitts? I have 2 questions for you. I don't believe we have a standard in the community, and maybe this is a lead into that in the future. we have landscaping standards, obviously, the water district and the city does, but we don't have a requirement for maintenance going after the building, do we? On landscaping?
Not at this time.
Are you referring to like a maintenance contract?
Yeah, so what I'm referring to is that we build these beautiful buildings and we have these beautiful landscape projects, but after a couple years down the line, we have to go back at them because a lot of businesses open up and they don't maintain their landscaping going forward.
So one thing is they're going to require to enter into a CFD that will be able to stay dormant, and then if they don't maintain it, then we'll be able to take over maintenance and hire our own contractor to maintain it. So all new development is required to enter a CFD.
Perfect. And then the intersection improvements there, they'd be required to put the lights in. We wouldn't be putting this development up and having to wait till the other three corners are developed?
Correct. So part of the conditions of approval are to upgrade the entire intersection so it can be functional. There is no traffic signal at this time because it did not meet the warrants for the traffic signal, but there will be enhancements so that way it aligns correctly with the widening of improvements.
Can I ask how it doesn't meet the requirements for streetlights?
And I'll confirm.
Yeah, okay, I mean, it just seems, so the reason I ask this question is the county side of that corner there, which is the southwest corner, when the old building that there was going to redeveloped, I became mayor in 15 and I went to a meeting that either that same, it would be 16. So in 2016, the owner of that building asked me to come to the meeting. The county was going to require them to put streetlights up if they develop and rehab. So how could we not require it?
I know there's a traffic signal, so I'll confirm on that.
Okay. So the traffic signal is just not required at this time?
I think it's not, but I'll check the study and confirm.
All right. Whatever we can do to move that forward in the future, it is a pretty busy intersection, so I would like to see a traffic signal there. I don't want to cause more. Either way, they've got to pay the fees to be put into that fund for traffic signals, so if we had the opportunity to put it up, I'd like to see that happen. I'm not going to condition the project on that, but that's what I'd like to see. Those are my questions. At this time, we'll open the public hearing and take any public testimony. Is there any testimony from the applicant themselves? Don't have to. Okay, not at this time. Is there anybody that would like to make any public testimony in favor, opposed, or neutral position of this project? I see nobody coming forth. Would the applicant like to rebut any of that information? There was none. Before I close the public hearing, did the applicant, anyone want to say anything? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing at this time, and I'll open it up to city council discussion.
I just want to say, I think it's nice that you're thinking forward so far as the lights and the fencing, so that if something else comes in, you're prepared.
No, I think it's an outstanding project, and I wish you luck with it. It'll be a nice addition. I've seen the Beyond Markets in Beaumont, and they're quite nice, and so I wish you luck with that. And with that, I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution.
Is there a second? Mr. Pitts, did you have any comments?
I do not at this time.
I'm going to make some comments now. I just had those questions. Besides that, I am thrilled about this project. Myself, Mr. Pitts, and even Mr. Gardner don't live far from this location, and I travel that corridor all the time. And I just don't understand why people haven't taken this opportunity to realize that there are no fuel services unless you go into the middle of the city or you head to the highway. And too many times I've forgotten to check my gas meter and heard the ding ding go off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, can I get to the freeway? Or drive down the center of town. I drive down the center of town because I can coast down that hill. But I'm thrilled. I think that you'll find a lot of activity in that area, and this will be a very successful project. So I hope it develops quickly. I hope that you can get it built quickly, because I think you will be very successful with this. There is a motion and a second on the table. If there's no further discussion, please vote.
Motion passes unanimously. The ordinance adding Chapter 17.260, Pierson Commercial Specific Plan to Title 17, Zoning of the Desert Hot Springs Municipal Code to establish zoning standards for the Pierson Commercial Specific Plan area will return in January for second reading and adoption.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. All right, we'll get Mr. Dirk Voss back, and we're going to move to the administrative calendar. Public Safety Commission recommendation to the City Council regarding aggressive panhandling. Mr. Soriano.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the Public Safety Commission took on the topic of regarding aggressive panhandling. And on their October 10th meeting, they took action to recommend to the City Council the creation of signage discouraging panhandling to be placed at major intersections, and that the signage state that panhandling is unlawful, provide alternative ways to donate, and include the police department non-emergency number and cite applicable municipal code sections. The recommendation is for the council to take whatever action the council deems appropriate, and that concludes my staff report.
Thank you very much. We'll open up to public comment. Does anyone here like to make a public comment? See nobody coming forth. We will close public comments and move to council member comments. Mr. Pitts?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Yeah, so on this, I completely support this. And my recommendation is very similar to what has been stipulated by the Public Safety Commission, that we place some type of signage on the medians that are also visible, with code language, obviously, for panhandling, coupled with alternative ways to donate. I mean, I'm just basically stipulating what the Public Safety Commission said, but I completely support this. I know not everyone panhandling is someone who's unhoused. Sometimes we've seen it in other cities as well, though sometimes it's a scam, So I completely support that, to be able to have some language. The other thing I would also say, though, if we did move forward with this, that signage would be aesthetically pleasing, and if it could be consistent with other type of branding that we have.
Mr. Gardner?
No, I will second that. I think it's a good idea. I've seen it in other cities. I don't know how effective it is with the people that are out there panhandling, but it will certainly give our residents an option to call rather than complain on social media.
Mr. Pye? Mr. Voss?
I don't have any comment on it. I mean, I support it. I think it's something we need to do. It's not going to fix everything, but we have to at least do something.
Ms. Pye?
I don't like it, and I'll tell you why. You put it in the intersection. No, let me ask you a question, the chief a question. You put it in the intersection, what kind of crime are they going to get? And is it going to make a difference? And then they turn around and get another crime. Now, the alternative, I think, is what we've done before, and that is there was a brochure. It's a small brochure that we gave to the police. We can also give to SWAG, and it tells you you can't panhandle. This is where your resources are, etc. And we gave that out. So now I ask you.
I would like to support public safety. It was the recommendation. However, I do have some concerns putting signs in center medians. Could distract drivers as well as possibly obstruct vision. So depending on what kind of signs go up there, I could see there may be a concern with that. The other option, I know it's not always homeless people, but for the most part it is. And I would like to give it some time, because switching over to SWAG, we've been having good results. And I think if we give this a little bit of time, it may work out. Just using SWAG and some of the homeless team that's out there. They're actively out there cleaning up the city, and this is a project that I think we could give them before we actually spend money, and because I believe we're going to really have to look at what kind of signs go up there and what the distractions would be.
What about the small brochure?
Yeah, I believe we do have signage out there with the businesses and stuff, and that.
No.
No, I understand what you're saying,
Okay.
and that could be something that the homeless team could carry and hand out when they contact these individuals. But like I said, I'm supportive what public safety wants. However, I do see some issues with it, and I would like some time to let SWAG do what they're doing, as well as the homeless team. Go ahead.
All right, so as everybody I think knows and is aware, we do already have an anti-aggressive panhandling ordinance in place. And so the signage from the Public Safety Commission's perspective was to just make it noticeable, I think, to our residents that is there and it's not allowed. Now, with all of that being said, and as the chief mentioned, we do have SWAG out there, we have our homeless outreach team, and they are actively enforcing said ordinance. So the visual is the thing that's missing right now. To Councilmember Pai's question about the brochure, we do have handouts that we have out in the community, so those exist, and those will continue to exist, in addition to the posters that the chief was making reference to, that are clearly visible in many of the business windows throughout the community, and that is a huge push that we continue to make out there and we are actively meeting with businesses and the shopping center communities as a whole, because it is about education, making sure that people know that there are other ways to donate. So we're doing all of those things right now. The only thing absent are the signs in the median, which is what this recommendation from the Public Safety Commission was asking for. I do echo the chief's sentiment as well.
I still think that's a problem. Trying to look at it, whether it is homeless or it's someone driving, that's a problem. We already have a problem with what is happening on Palm, or people just standing at a light because they're looking at their cell phone. There's enough. Anyway, I don't support it. There's other ways. Or, as he said, let's slow down a little bit first and see what SWAG is doing, and then come back.
So I'd have no problem with that, slowing down and coming back to it. I think medians shouldn't be cluttered with a bunch of signage, so, I can go either way with this. I don't want to not support the Public Safety Commission and their ideas and what they want to do, because I do think it's important, but could the signage go somewhere else? Do we need the signage to enforce?
No, we do not.
It's just a deterrent, right?
Correct.
So maybe we put a aesthetically pleasing sign, as mentioned, maybe somewhere on the sidewalk area where we have other signage below that. I don't know, but then it gets vandalized maybe. But I don't know if you need to notify the public that it's there, as long as we have the ordinances in effect. Without anything there, they're going to stand there until they're chased away. But SWAG is being aggressive out there, I believe, and doing their job, and I'm really pleased with what I'm seeing so far. I take a drive down Palm Drive on a regular basis, certain days of the week, just to see, and I started taking it on a certain weekend day morning to see, because about 3-4 months ago it was very noticeable on our unhoused population along Palm Drive, and the last few times I've driven down there, don't see them at all. Don't see much at all. But I have caught a few people in the intersections in different areas on the outskirts of our community. I don't mean this as a joke, but I do tell my kids, because my kids and my wife are very sentimental to individuals needing help, and I say, look at their shoes, ask them if they really want a bag of food, and we'll go buy them something. And a lot of times it's no. Okay, and my daughter and I pulled up to the McDonald's one day, and I shouldn't have said McDonald's, I apologize, a fast food restaurant, and there was an individual sitting next to the speaker where you were going to order your food, and I was a little nervous to roll down my window, but I did roll it down, and I said, well, I can buy you something. And he said, I don't want it. Even though the sign said I'm hungry, I need food, I just want money. So, it is a problem, and if we don't continue to combat it, it will continue to be a problem. Where I'm going with this, babbling a little bit, but the Public Safety Commission is doing good work. They're trying to find solutions to issues. How could we do it and make it aesthetically pleasing, I guess, in the future? I mean, I think thinking outside the box on this one, rather than a big, tall sign that says, don't do this, maybe there's other ways to do it, and taking everyone's comments into effect today. So, can we approve this and just give staff the opportunity to figure it out without having to implement it?
The direction is for a formal recommendation from the city council. Doesn't necessarily say that we have to do the recommendation that is before us. That being said, let me just throw one more little piece into that. Most of these folks stand at the tip of the median, which is where the sign would go, which leaves them less space to do that, and it puts it right in their face that they can't do that. So that's one reason I support this. And also, Mr. Mayor, as you pointed out, our Public Safety Commission is always looking for ways to help, and they very rarely bring us recommendations. I think this is one of the first ones that we've had in several years from them. And I don't want to discourage them from making recommendations to us. That being said, I'm willing to, we can either one of two things. We can hold this over, we can vote on it, or we can, we kind of hate doing it from the dais, but craft a recommendation of ourselves, or we say, staff, take a look at everything that we've said tonight and come back with a policy. And we can do that in January.
And just so you're aware, I know the aesthetics of the sign, the location of the sign has been brought up tonight. We have to follow standards that Caltrans sets standards, so they will follow standards. So sight lines will be addressed, the size of the signs will be addressed, the locations of the signs will be addressed by standard.
It may not be.
Well, why don't we give a broad direction here to take the recommendation of the Planning Commission and or Public Safety Commission and come back with something that would be more aesthetically pleasing and, maybe in the future, I don't know, I'm just, what is everybody good with that? Would that make it a little more palatable if we don't put that big ugly sign right in the middle there, if we tried to bring back something that was a little more aesthetically
And
pleasing?
if you run it by the police chief before you bring it to us.
And we could bring back, tonight was about the policy, and maybe in thinking this a little further, tonight we should have probably had the location and the signage so you could have more visual. So we'll bring it back after, taking all the comments into consideration, location and standards.
All right, so why don't we just make a broad motion to,
How about this?
Thank you.
City Council directs staff to work with the Public Safety Commission to develop appropriate notification and signage to address median panhandling on our highways.
But I think they already did that, didn't they?
That's appropriate.
They already pushed it back to us, so I don't think it needs to go back to planning.
I mean, we could bring it back to the council in January, because there's no urgency in this, and, you could see it.
So you want to table it and just bring it back? Because that'd be easier?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we table it then.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any other further comments? Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 4 is Rivco, which is Riverside County Regional Parks. Mr. Lucchino, 4th District. Mr. Lucchino. Item number 4. Regional Parks. Don't let the deputy get you sidetracked there.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Turn on my mic here. So the item in front of you this evening is looking for a recommendation for potentially a regional park in the surrounding of the city. Just by way of some background, Riverside County, Rivco, which is a special district, it was corrected, it's not a division of the county, it's actually its own special district, was going through a process of potentially closing Lake Kauai. From a recreational perspective. Since that time, actually, they've renewed a lease with it, and it's going to remain a park. But through that conversation, they realized that they needed a regional park within District 4. So they used some of the ARPA money to start with some feasibility analysis. And I want to be clear on this. The construction isn't funded yet, but they're looking at location. So they've gone out to the public, solicited some information and feedback, and what the county would love to know, or Riverside County Parks would love to know, is where the council, the city council in Desert Hot Springs stands on it. There are four options, three of which are surround our city. The fourth is in Salton Sea, but the three surrounding our city are desert dunes, which is an existing facility. The other two are, there's no facilities there, which is Long Canyon and Big Morongo. Within your staff report, you do have some attachments there of the three locations and even project site criteria that the council or the special district has determined. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that I can. We do not have any representation from county parks this evening, but all your comments will be forwarded on.
Public comments first. Is there anybody in the public who'd like to speak to this item? Okay, we'll move forward. I'm going to give it to Mr. Gardner in just a second, but first I just want people not to be confused. There's state funding for parks within communities. This is completely different. This is a regional park that the county is planning, and I'm going to give it over to Mr. Gardner to talk a little bit more about that. His expertise on the city council is dealing with the environmental issues on our city council, and he represents us on many of these commissions, and he has a lot of information.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This has been a long process, and it's a very interesting process, and I am somewhat disappointed that the lease was renewed for Lake Cahuilla, because that would have really pushed us into actually getting a park out here. But now that Lake Cahuilla is going again, this is going to be something the county is going to be working on, and they're asking for our input as far as preferences. And of the four, three of them here within our community, not technically within the city limits, but within our sphere of influence, is an outstanding opportunity for us to really grow our tourism base and things that are coming out there. So let me just pull a couple of things out here as we go through each of these. Long Canyon has always been on the list for the county for a park. And since we opened the trail in 2021 to go up through into Joshua Tree, the amount of illegal activity out there, the traffic, the shooting, the dumping of trash and stuff has dropped dramatically. But the entrance to that canyon lends itself to a campground, picnic ground, trailhead system that the county has devised. And that one's been on the minds of the park planners for quite some time. Big Morongo Canyon is sort of the same thing. It's very similar to the Long Canyon Trail, and it goes all the way up into Morongo Valley. And there is a wide area up there that also lends itself to a campground, picnic ground, trailhead. That one right now is under, not the park itself, but the improvements for the trailhead are under review right now at the Bureau of Land Management through the Coachella Valley Mountains Conservancy that I serve on. And that's one of their areas that they're looking at. The third one is the abandoned Desert Dunes Golf Course on Palm, heading out there. That is a beautiful piece of property, already complete with roads and trails, and could be developed relatively easy and quickly into a park. But we also have one, maybe two outside non-governmental agencies looking at purchasing that for conservation. Oswett Land Trust, who purchased the Mesquite Country Club in Palm Springs for a park, is looking for the same thing to do here. And now they have had some issues with that project in Palm Springs because it's so surrounded by residents that are having some issues with it, that they're way behind schedule on that. This one, not having any neighbors around it or any people to oppose it, would be a natural fit again for Oswett to purchase and turn into a park. So if it were the preference of the council, I would suggest that as we make a recommendation, have the city council or the city manager make a recommendation to Rivco Parks, that we go with Long Canyon, Big Morongo Canyon, and Desert Dunes in that order. I'll be happy to entertain any other questions for those of you that have them.
Anyone else have any comments or questions?
Yes. Yes, I do actually. I understand what you're saying. I kind of am just the opposite of the three. And the reason why is I see the desert or the Long Canyon. I think it's a nice one where we're at. But, we don't have any other amenities up there. That's just what's up there. Then we have surrounding residential. that's near there. And I know that it's intended to be some kind of park in the future or what have you, but there is the impact of the residential that's up there. But there's still not any amenities that are nearby for there. And, you know, they're coming into town and that's where they go and they kind of leave. You know, I am concerned about, you know, some of the stragglers going into the neighborhood, starting to do shortcuts into some of the roads where they dead end and thinking this trail or this trail over here is where they can go hiking from to get to that or go wandering around out there. However, you know, the big Morongo one, I see the benefit of that being closer to Indian and 62 and how it ties in, I think, to the Sand and Snow and that whole area there. What I really like about the Desert Dunes is a number of factors. Is one, it's an existing place that really can just be almost built out relatively quick and then be added on. It's also got hookup campsites versus just tent camping, which is also nice. I like the fact that it's near the southern end of the town, where the economic development aspect of it is also can tie into what we're trying to do along the freeway there with the different shops and restaurants and things. People go to the park, then they go, you know, most of your regional parks, if you see, are typically near shopping areas and business areas. If you look around the county, you'll see they're all typically relatively close to that because people will go to the park and then they go to the grocery store or they go to the restaurant, they go whatever they're doing with that. But here's the other thing too, and this is something that I like is that, so with that, where that entryway is, so we're talking about a traffic light that we're going to put in at 20th and Palm, correct? Okay, so we have that, and we still got the issue going on with what further traffic is going to be, and we can do all we can to mitigate the problems. But the county's going to want a traffic light to go in and out of that one. You know, they're not going to want it to keep it just open the way that it is. They're going to want a traffic light. And so when you would look at the long term, we look at the big strategic plan aspect of traffic calming of Palm, you know, we've got down there by Maverick, right? You've got down by Maverick, you got Varner, then you got the 20th, and then now you have Desert Dunes. From Desert Dunes to Dillon is not very much. That's a manageable area for our police department to do enforcement in a smaller area where it's widespread out. But it also has all these elements of traffic calming in place that would be placed there, you know, in addition to. So, I mean, having that extra light there, I think is helpful. But realistically, what I like is just it's already there, it's built in, it's got some nice amenities here. But the economic development part of it is that it's so close to where we're really needing to really get some boom as far as economic development down there by the freeway, and it can be tied in with that. You know, the one up here off Morongo, Big Morongo, you know, I think when we get some things going on up there, Pierson and 62 and the like, you know, there could be potentially an economic development tie in there. Long Canyon's a neat one. You know, it's attractive. It's, you know, with that, but there's really nothing there. And I'm concerned about, frankly, I'm kind of concerned about bringing a whole bunch of people into an area where there's a bunch of residential and having them straggle right there. You got access to residential, you got the fire station right there, which is, you know, that's a good thing if somebody's injured or what have you. But, you know, there's, you know, the traffic that's involved there. But I am concerned about them being close to the residential, people straggling through that. We already get people already who park in certain areas and they go walking around the neighborhood and they park in a little cul-de-sac that dead ends into the vacant lot. Or they take their ATVs, dump them off a car, and they go on, and they go, you know, doing what they're doing back there. I hear it 11 o'clock at night quite a bit. So there's that. I think that this Desert Dunes could be a tremendous economic development opportunity for us by having it there, that we can put that as part of our economic development plan on recreation and really kind of push us as kind of a sports community and sports tourism and tie that in with what's going to bring businesses down by the freeway as well. There's my 2 cents worth.
All points well taken. The one thing with Desert Dunes need to keep in mind too, though, is you have 2 other NGOs that are willing to buy that property, which frees up the county to do another project. I think Desert Dunes is going to probably get done regardless of what the county does. From my conversations with Oswit and Mojave Desert Land Trust, one of the 2 of them are probably going to snap that up, which means the county could then do either Long or Big Morongo. The other thing too on Big Morongo, or rather Long Canyon rather, the proposed area for that is a good 2 miles up Long Canyon Road from Long Canyon paved road.
Right.
So you're actually setting it back there further. And the reason the county's been looking at Long Canyon as long as it has, no pun intended, is because it feels more like a campground, and that's what they're really looking for, is a campground kind of experience, picnic ground, campground kind of thing. So, but again, your point's well taken, and all three of them are outstanding. I mean, I would be happy with any one of the three, but if we're tasked to give a recommendation of priorities, you know, those were mine, yours. So I'm either way.
Let me get some other comments in here. Ms. Pye, Mr. Pitts.
Yeah, I would say that I actually concur with all that's been said, and I love how you framed that. My first choice was actually Big Morongo, just because where it's situated at. And the other thing, and I'm sure this will be the other moving parts, would be a traffic study, because we already get backed up with so much traffic there sometimes with accidents. But I love where this is at, and I love that this will hopefully start drawing more people to Desert Hot Springs. And you spoke about it. You're going to go to a park, bring the family. It looks like there might even be some water features, which is really cool. People are going to want to go in and go eat at the our eateries and everything. It's a great way to kind of start bringing people in to our city. But I feel the same way with the rest of the members. Either one I think would be good. But that's just my my perspective on the Big Morongo.
Well, I have a totally different opinion. I like Long Canyon, Desert Dunes, Big Morongo. I think we're all over the board here, Mr. Lucchino. I like the idea of what Mr. Gardner brought up, is that maybe we do solicit the other, what do you call them? NGOs. What does that stand for? It stands for
non-governmental organization.
Non-governmental organizations such as like
Oswith,
Friends of the
Desert Mountains,
a couple more. Yeah.
Mahogany.
So there's a couple about that might be interested, and if they really are pushing towards, and I know we've had discussions with Oswith on Desert Dunes, if they're in a position to fund that project, you know, that does free up others, and I think they might be interested in that. So maybe we do a partnership with them to understand that. It's really a toss-up with Long Canyon and Big Morongo. I think they're both important for the future. I think Long Canyon might be a little more attractive, and this is the reason why. When I go to the regional park in Yucaipa, we go there because it's kind of nestled back in the hill there. It's really family-friendly and oriented. It feels like you're away from something. It doesn't feel like you're in the middle of a city. And so I think Long Canyon really fits that. Big Morongo would kind of do that, but you still have the highway there. Desert Dunes, it still feels like you're in the middle of the city. So we've done a lot of camping over our time, and we went to San Dimas one time. I don't know if you've ever been there before. I think it's called San Dimas. And it's in the middle of a city, and you could feel it, you know. But when we went to Yucaipa, it felt like we were somewhere different. So I think those are the ideas that, I mean, the comments that I would make. I don't know how we all agree on which one comes first.
Let's remember Long Canyon goes into Joshua.
Long Canyon, and that's something I've talked about many times for a long time. But then we got Big Morongo that walks right into the sand and snow. So, you know, again, a toss-up. So you really want direction on which one to make a formal recommendation to?
Yeah, I mean, the council, you don't have to, right? The county is soliciting input, and I think your voice matters. So it would probably nice to have a recommendation to give to the county, because it may make an influence.
We recommend that all of them be built.
How about this? Let me suggest this, if I could, that our preferences would be either Long Canyon or Big Morongo first, Desert Dune second.
I'm good with that. I think part of that recommendation or motion would be that we talk to the NGOs and see if they would be willing to help support that idea with the fact that they would be purchasing Desert Dunes to move forward with that. I totally get from an economic standpoint of what Mr. Voss is saying. We don't want that to sit empty as a dilapidated golf course as Mesquite did for many years. They're not going to have a homeowners association suing them over this project. You probably have a lot of support over it to get it done, to get it back open and see people utilizing it, even if it's not a golf course. So how do we structure that into a motion? And would you be supportive of that?
Well, you know, I mean, I want to do what's best for our community, so any one of these would be fine, frankly, but I mean, I put some emphasis on that. I'm not overly confident in one of these other groups buying it and upkeeping it and doing it. My biggest fear is just that it sits. I remember when the Whitewater Golf Club, or up there right where Whitewater dead ends down there in Palm Springs, when they shut that down and it just sat there. And all these folks just, you know, that lived there, of course, they had their, you know, their complaints about it. But even if the residents were there, it just sat there dead, and it just became this public nuisance of a problem. And that then became the new place where many folks that were, you know, the homeless folks and other people, you know, going in there doing drugs, doing things like this, dirt bikes, these kinds of things, with no monitoring of that, were out there doing this for a long, long time until finally whatever became of that. And so I'm concerned about that. And then I'm also kind of wondering too, you know, where the county is going to say, hey, we want to make sure that we have good traffic and public safety here. Is this other group they're going to put in a new light? You know, county, I know, is going to put a new light. They do that at just about every regional park has a light like that, usually, depending where they're at, and especially on a main street like that. So, you know, is this other group going to say, okay, you know, this is a walking path trail where people hang out and do a picnic and take peyote and just hang out, or is it a spot where, you know, we're going to do a light? You know, I mean, we joke about it, but at the end of the day, I don't want something that's just.
Well, I think anybody would be under the same development standards as anyone else would be. So I don't want to get too far into the weeds. I think from the city council, I'm going to try to get out. Did you have any comments before? I'm just going to try to push this along here. How soon do they need the recommendation? Okay, so we're still in 2024, so that means weeks away. So you guys can kind of, someone can jump in here with a motion, and then you can support it or not support it, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Well, I'll make a motion then that we give the county, that say that our top choice is either Big Morongo or Long Canyon. Either one of those are acceptable to the county as a primary choice, and a secondary choice would be Desert Dunes.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
There is a motion and a second. I'll open it back up for discussion. Do you want to debate it a little further?
No, you know, I mean, I'm okay with this. I mean, it's not something that I'm gonna, you know, take to the ground and grapple over this one. Not yet, anyways. I'll wait till the next meeting for that. But, you know, I think we need to be very careful with this and make sure that we really understand, you know, follow through with that, because I just really can potentially see a huge problem happening at Desert Dunes just sitting there. I don't have a lot of faith with the groups that are thinking about buying it. You know, we know how some of that has turned out already. I mean, it would be great if they do. But I just see the recreational opportunities, the sports activities, these things that they've got over there, I just think are, you can see the benefits of the other two.
So I think it's a win-win in whichever direction we go. I don't think there's a loser here.
And it's basically a recommendation, and who knows what the county will do. The county could very well say, no, we're going to do Salton Sea, and we just spent an hour discussing something.
Right.
So.
All right, please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, we're going to move to consent calendar. We did have a few items pulled off of there. We're going to start with item number 11. Award construction contract, or construction agreement for the Hacienda Avenue Street Improvement Project 3003. Mr. Porras.
I want to give a summary of this. All three of these projects coming up, they're all award of construction agreements. This first one is the Hacienda Avenue Street Improvement Project. The location of this project is on Hacienda Avenue from West Drive all the way crossing Palm Drive to Tamar Drive. The scope of work includes 10,000 lineal feet of new sidewalk, new bike lanes, new parkway with landscaping and a meandering sidewalk, 39 new streetlights, new ADA ramps, new ADA driveways, and new striping and crosswalks. We've been working this project for about 4 or 5 years, since 2019 when the design began. We were then awarded a ATP California State grant for $1.34 million. And then last year, we were awarded another $2.99 million from the Clean California grant, which really helped push the project forward to construction. Here's some plan drawings. You can see the meandering sidewalk. You can see where some alignments are going to be moved to actually widen the street and accommodate some of the existing and future improvements. Here's some landscape plan with the different planners. We are going to mimic some of the landscape medians that we currently have. This is also going to add medians to some areas where the left turns do not interfere. And on this project, when we went out to request a proposal for construction, we received 3 proposals from 3 various contractors. The lowest contractor was All American Asphalt, and that bid was for $6,631,992.00. Staff is recommending City Council to award the construction agreement for Hacienda Avenue Street Improvement to the lowest responsive qualified bidder, which was All American Asphalt, in an amount not to exceed $6,631,992.00. Also authorize the city manager to draft and execute a construction agreement for the Hacienda Street Improvement Project with All American Asphalt for that amount, plus 10% contingency of $663,199.20, bringing the total amount to $7,295,191.20, and also approve a total budget of $7,469,191.20 for additional project expenses for and during construction management. That concludes my staff report, and I gladly answer any detailed questions. We also have more detailed information in the staff report and the bid tabulations as well.
Do we have any public comments on this item? Nobody coming forth. Mr. Gardner, you pulled the item?
Yes, thank you. The reason I pulled this and the other ones is because 2 reasons. One, these have been projects that have been long discussed and worked on over the last couple of 3 years, and I want our residents to see that they're finally coming to conclusion and ready to start. And with that, the only question I have, Mr. Porras, is do you have an approximate rough timeline on start of construction, end of construction?
So we'll be starting in January. We're gonna award tonight. We are trying to get the handouts out to some of these residents. There are some directly affected residents and businesses who we've been already communicating for the last few years. We are gonna send them mailers, getting them a heads up. Hey, we have a new contract. This is the schedule, but we do plan on starting in January. It'll take 12 months to complete, maybe a little bit less, depending on some of the streetlight issues or streetlight infrastructure that we need to install.
Thank you. And again, this is a fantastic project. It's something that the spas, particularly up on Hacienda, have been advocating for some time, and this will basically complement what we've already done on Palm. These are our 2 major cross streets in the city, and will really provide a welcoming atmosphere to our boutique spas. So I'm excited to see this one start.
And Mr. Mayor, just to comment on that, this is the phase 1, so this is from west to Tamar. The phase 2 goes into the spa zone. That one's also going to begin sometime this next year as well, but not this one.
That was one of my questions, is when does the second phase start? Thank you for answering that question, and it's a final comment here before I'll accept the motion. If no other comments, can we have a groundbreaking? We've had a lot of people talk about this, and maybe
Yeah, absolutely.
have some press out and pick a spot that's safe, that we don't get hit by a car. Chief?
He'll be out there directing traffic.
Yeah. Yeah, just put it out in the public that we're getting started. Any other comments or questions? Awesome. I'll accept the motion.
I'll make a motion. We award the construction agreement for Hacienda Street Improvement Project 3003 as outlined by staff.
A second.
There's a motion by District 1 and seconded by District 4. Nice. All in your districts. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 12 was pulled also from the consent calendar. Award construction contract for the John H. Furby Aquatic Center Improvements, City Project Number 2013. Mr. Porras?
Yes. And here's some more rendering. I'm sorry for the earlier one. And I am stuck. Oh, there it goes. So this is the first one. So it's John Furby Aquatic Center improvements. This is located at the John H. Furby Aquatic Center inside or next to the Health and Wellness Center. The scope of work of this project is to do the pool replastering, so the entire pool will be replastered, retiled. Partially, some of the deck has different levels that have been raised, so it'll level off the entire deck, so partial deck renovation, replacement of underwater lights and the deck equipment. It'll also reconstruct a pool coping, which is the edge around the entire pool. And one alternate we added to this was the purchase installation of a brand new scoreboard and timing system. So when you swim laps, you can actually, every time you touch it, it actually senses it, and it'll have a full scoreboard on there. This one, we've also worked on it this summer. We got it moving forward because it is funded through CDBG. We were able to work an agreement with Riverside County CDBG to fund, instead of 1 year, but 5 years, up to $1.3 million. That'll fund the entire project. So we were able to work with them and push this project forward. We finished the design and went out to RFP for construction, and we received 3 bids as well from different contractors. We did have a pre-bid meeting on site. Here's some drawings of it. So it'll be the exact pool. It'll just be brand new. Nothing's changing. The elevations, the depth, the lane lines, everything's going to remain. It's just going to be brand new. Here's some more actual markers. So these are the markers underwater. These are the ones that have the sensors and stuff whenever you actually swim across. So we did receive 3 bids. The lowest bid was from USA Construction with a base bid of $1,058,680 and the alternate of $6,000, which brought the total to $1,064,680.00. We have checked references and are recommending the award to the lowest responsive bidder as USA Construction. We met them during the pre-bid meeting and they were excited to get started. We do have one restriction on this project, is to get it built in 45 days, which is tight schedule, but we are trying to meet the demands for the high school because they do start their swim season around the second or third week of February. So we want to start this as soon as possible, most likely the first week of January. We're going to shut down completely drain the pool and start the demo work on all through January and start doing all the rebar and the construction for the curing time. Staff is recommending the City Council award the construction agreement for the John H. Furby Aquatic Center improvement project number 2013 to the lowest responsive bidder, USA Construction, and also authorize the city manager to draft and execute the construction agreement for the John H. Furby Aquatic Center Improvement City Project 2013 with USA Construction in an amount not to exceed $1,064,680 with a 10% contingency of $106,468.00, bringing the total amount to $1,165,148, and also approve a total budget of $1,265,148 for additional project expenses during the construction management and the construction of the project. This does not include any improvements to the splash pad. We will continue designing that, and it'll come back to council for review and for award at the next stop when we do close the pool for the next winter. That concludes my staff report, and we do have a detailed staff report with the breakdown of the bids and the actual budget as well. I'll gladly answer any questions.
Do we have any public comments on this side? All right, we'll go to council member comments.
And real quick, Danny, on this one too, we've had so many ongoing issues in the last couple of years with
Yes.
Furby Pool and keeping it open and residents being upset that it's closed. And once we get this done, we should have a fully functioning good pool for a good deal into the future, I hope. And we are still aiming towards keeping the pool open year-round, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so because what we want to do is when we're able to do it, not close it, so it's not starting and stopping again. I think, as Mr. Porras mentioned, second phase of this 5-year project is to look at the kiddie pool and the splash pad and kind of enhance that. So the year-round lap swimming would not be this year, because again, we got to close it again next year at this time. So it'd be, almost a year from now that we'll be looking at
Toward
it.
26, we're looking at opening it
Correct,
year-round. Are we going to have a long enough season this year? When do we start the second phase of that?
So it would, ideally speaking, and I think Mr. Porras was working through the process of it, because design on that piece would take a little longer.
Yes.
And so ideally speaking, the day after Labor Day would be ideal. So boom, at that point, to give us a little longer leeway, because again, next year at that time too, we got to be open in February for the high school. So I think that is kind of what we're planning.
Thank you.
Mr. Pitts, Mr. Voss, Ms. Pye? All right, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Dirt, there you go.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 13, award construction agreement for the Police Department Annex Building Project 8003. Mr. Porras?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Again, this item is for the award of construction for the Police Department Annex Building. This scope of work is actually Phase 1 of the Public Safety Campus. This was brought to council on April of 2024, which we discussed funding the Public Safety Campus, but then broken it down into Phase 1. Phase 1 is this portion of the Public Safety Campus, which includes a 6,300 square foot Police Department building, which will sit directly next to the existing building. There's also some site improvements, which will include removing that block wall that's currently there, adding more parking lot, readjusting the entry, adding an access gate, and improving some of the drainage in that site. This will not touch the fire station, but it will add a brand new building to that police department. The detectives are currently housed in the temporary trailers that are there. They will be moved into this building once it is completed. Here's some renderings of it. It's very similar to the design that it was before. This bid went out to RFP, and we actually received 6 proposals from various contractors. The lowest proposal was received from Pereira Construction. The second lowest was Oakview Constructors, who are actually constructing Fire Station 98. One note, we did receive a bid protest letter from Oakview Constructors protesting the lowest bid. They identified 2 items from the lowest bid, which was an expired DIR number from a sub and a non-identifying of who was going to be building the fire apparatuses or the fire equipment from the actual police station. Pereira submitted a response letter, which is attached to the staff report, identifying that there was an error on their part, not on their part, but on the actual website itself from DIR. They were compliant in their DIR license, and they also submitted the bid from their sub, which was lower than 1%. When any sub is lower than 1%, you are not required to list them. We were very satisfied with their response. They had a very, very detailed and professional response, and we are recommending City Council to reject the bid protest and continue to award to the lowest bid as the qualified bidder as Pereira Construction and Design. The bid protest letter is in the staff report. The bid protest letter response also on staff report, and all the details from this project are on the staff report as well. With that, staff is recommending the award to construction agreement for Police Department Annex Building to the lowest responsive qualified bidder, Pereira Construction and Design, Inc., and authorize the city manager to draft and execute a construction agreement for the Police Department Annex Building Project 8003 with Pereira Construction and Design in an amount not to exceed $6,049,000 with a 10% contingency of $604,900.00, bringing the total amount to $6,653,900.00 and a total project budget of $7,263,900 for additional project expenses for the cost of construction management and furniture, finishings, and equipment. One note, we did have 2 bid alternates as well on this project, where there was the north shade structure over the parking lot and the east shade structure over the east side of the building. We are recommending not to award those and maintain the base bid of $6 million. Those can be added in a future, and those are not required for the operation portion of the actual building itself. Thank you, and that concludes my staff report.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments? Before I give it over to you, Mr. Gardner, can you put the picture back up?
Thank you, Danny.
Hold on 1 second. So I just had a quick comment about it before Mr. Gardner gets to his comments. The front door is facing the west?
Yes. So the entrance is similar to the way City Hall was. So you access through Pierson, and then on your right-hand side, this will be parking to your right, and that'll be the actual door itself.
2 concerns. I don't know if you can adapt during the process of building. One is it's directly into the wind, and you guys had this problem with City Hall when it was there. 2, it's not very, this is going to be the main counter now, right?
No.
Oh, no, this is not going to be the main counter?
No.
So the main counter will still stick where it's at, stay where it's at? Okay, I thought when we first saw renderings, these were going to be the new, so never mind on that, but I would definitely,
And the wind, that first block wall is actually offset like about 5 feet from the main building for that reason.
got it.
So there's a space between it, so there's a gap there.
Thank you. Mr. Carter?
All right, thank you, Danny. This is another one that's been on our books for quite some time. When did we do that bond? Was it 20? 20? So we're sitting in 4 years now, and we're finally getting this one up and running. What do we have a rough construction timeline?
So we should finish it in 12 months, and we will start in January. We're going to talk to our police department to make sure operations still remain. So if there's any adjustments, when we meet the contractor, we'll have to logistically figure out what goes first, what goes last, to make sure that their operations maintain during construction and after construction. So it should take about 12 months.
We're going to have a lot of construction going on in 25. It's going to be exciting to see it all. So this is another great piece to help our police department. They are so crammed in there. They're so tight. And I know the detectives and others are really looking forward to having a building there. It's going to be a great addition to our city and to our campus. And I'm excited to see it. And you know, I know we're leaving a couple of them there, the so-called temporary trailers that have been temporary since 2012?
No, way before
Even
that.
before that. So the
2002.
permanent temporary trailers, the mayor has suggested a groundbreaking, and I can't wait to see a destruction of the temporary trailers at the same time. So
that a
I think
motion?
it's a great project. Yeah, I'll make a motion then again to award the contract for the PD as mentioned in staff and was just covered up by the motion so that I can't read it. So
PD Annex Building.
Is there a second? Any comments? Please vote.
6-6.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 14 is a professional services agreement with Social Work Action Group, also known as SWAG, to operate a 90-day crisis stabilization facility for the Desert Hot Springs unhoused population at the hub located at 66753 Hacienda Avenue, Desert Hot Springs, California 92240. Ms. Wilms.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, thank you. So tonight we're asking the city manager to we're asking the City Council to authorize the city manager to execute a professional services agreement with Social Work Action Group, SWAG, in an amount not to exceed $1,072,668.00 annually to operate a 90-day crisis stabilization facility for Desert Hot Springs unhoused population at the hub located at 66753 Hacienda Avenue from December 12th, 2024 through June 30th, 2026, subject to a duly approved city budget. Just for some background, in 2019, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that it was unconstitutional and cruel and unusual punishment for cities to criminalize homelessness. Martin versus Boise further ruled that cities could not enforce their anti-camping ordinances if they did not have enough shelter beds for their unhoused population. Following this ruling and exacerbated by COVID-19, the city saw an exponential increase in the total number of unhoused individuals within the city of Desert Hot Springs. In 2018, the city's point-in-time count was 58. In 2023, this number rose to 122 individuals, over a 100% increase. The next point-in-time count is scheduled for January 22nd of 2025. In the fall of 2021, the city hired I got a little behind on the presentation, sorry. In fall of 2021, the city hired SEH Consulting to conduct an independent assessment. This included citywide outreach, a needs assessment, field reconnaissance, and community engagement meetings. Community feedback revealed a desire to proceed with opening an access center to comply with Martin versus Boise. The city met with various jurisdictions and nonprofits and toured access centers and shelters throughout Riverside County. In May of 2023, the city purchased the hub located at 66753 Hacienda Avenue. This location is centrally located, had multiple rooms and bathrooms, and was already entitled for this particular use. In October of 2023, the City of Desert Hot Springs opened the doors to the hub, which is a city-owned emergency overnight shelter. Initially, the city contracted with Martha's Village and Kitchen under a limited term agreement, which was extended for the first year of operations. During this time period, the hub operated as a 26-bed overnight emergency shelter. In November of 2023, the city published a request for proposal to solicit operators for a longer-term agreement to operate the hub. The following 3 proposals were submitted. Martha's Village and Kitchen for $1.5 million, which covered the continuation of an overnight emergency shelter. SWAG for the amount proposed tonight, $1,072,668. But that was for the transition to a 90-day crisis stabilization center. And then we also received a third proposal from Street Life Project for $995,577 for the continuation of overnight emergency shelter with some additional crisis intervention and wraparound services. The caveat, and this does play into this further along, is that third operator had never operated an actual facility, done phenomenal work with street outreach, but never operated an actual facility. Around the same time, on December 14th of 2023, the County of Riverside Housing and Workforce Solutions Homeless Housing Assistance and Prevention Program conditionally awarded the City of Desert Hot Springs $416,219 through their Continuum of Care Governance Board for the continuation, very specifically, of an overnight emergency shelter at the hub with Martha's Village and Kitchen designated as the operator. On January 16th, 2024, the City Council adopted the Riverside County Housing and Workforce Solutions Homeless Action Plan. This adoption allowed the city to proceed with accepting the HAP funding through the County of Riverside Continuum of Care in the amount of $416,000 with Martha's Village and Kitchen as the operator. Over the summer, staff assessed the impacts of the first year of operations at the hub. Initially funded via grant fund dollars, the city had the ability to limit eligibility to individuals with ties to Desert Hot Springs. While local preference was deployed, the city lost the full ability to restrict access to individuals from outside of the area if there was a surplus of beds available once the HAP grant funding was accepted. During the first year of services, the city did not see a decrease in the total number of unhoused individuals in the city. In total, 721 unduplicated individuals accessed the day center, while 198 unduplicated individuals accessed the overnight shelter. At the conclusion of the first year, only 18 individuals had been housed. Following this assessment, staff went back and reviewed the original RFPs that were submitted. Also over the summer, the United States Supreme Court overturned the Grants Pass ruling and Martin versus Boise, allowing cities to proceed with enforcement of their anti-camping ordinances. On September 30th of 2024, the city exhausted the funding through the HAP grant with Martha's Village and Kitchen, and on October 1st, 2024, the city manager entered into a limited-term professional services agreement with SWAG to transition the hub from a 26-bed overnight emergency access center to a 90-day crisis stabilization facility, which is designed to address some of the root causes of homelessness within our chronically unhoused population. In the last 2 months, the city completed minor repairs at the hub, while SWAG conducted work to transition the facility to the 90-day crisis stabilization facility. SWAG's approach is a complete paradigm shift and leads with efforts to build trust and rapport within the unhoused community while connecting them to mental health and rehabilitation treatment centers and services. In addition to 5 full-time employees at the hub, which includes 1 project coordinator, 2 case managers, and 2 facility monitors/security, there are also 4 full-time street outreach case managers in the field every day working collaboratively with our homeless outreach team. If approved, the hub will provide a 90-day crisis stabilization program. It will no longer operate as an emergency shelter or lodging operation. The facility would provide temporary refuge for chronically unhoused individuals, enabling them to progress towards the acceptance of assistance and recovery. To gain assistance from the hub, the following eligibility requirements would need to be met. 1, folks would need to be chronically homeless. 2, they need to be identified as chronically homeless and residing in an area not intended for human habitation by law enforcement or code compliance. And finally, they must be known to reside on the streets of Desert Hot Springs or surrounding unincorporated areas. Lastly, in conjunction with the approach with SWAG, the city has already started deploying what is being coined as a compassionate care approach. And this is in conjunction and collaboration with our homeless outreach team. We are offering services and resources, providing that very strong case management as a requirement, not as an option, but as a requirement. And then also making sure that there's accountability and responsibility put out there for our unhoused community. And finally, we are offering all of these services and resources, and also coupling that, though, with strong enforcement for anyone in our community that is committing crimes, whether they are unhoused or not. So the amount of this agreement, as I specified, is an amount not to exceed $1,072,668 annually, subject to a city-approved budget. The costs have already been contemplated in this year's budget, and that concludes my staff report. I do have both Aaron Petrov, owner of SWAG, and Natalie here with us from SWAG. As I mentioned, they are already out here working and have been since October 1st, and we have seen some pretty dramatic changes over the last 2 months. So they're here to answer any questions as well. Thank you.
And I apologize, you had to wait through the whole meeting for this. I should have moved your item up, so thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Is there any public comments on this item? All right, if we have specific questions for you guys, we'll call you up. Before we do that, I just want to reiterate what I said earlier. I drive through the community on a regular basis, and I try to drive different routes. But I started to spend a certain time at a certain day driving it because a couple months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, I saw a lot of activity on Palm Drive, and I wasn't happy with it. I first want to thank Martha's for everything that they started and work that they did at the hub, but I think we needed to switch gears, and I was explaining this at the executive committee for CVAG the other day when they were talking about the good neighbor policy, is that, or talking about funding the CV 200, is that what it's called, CV 200? And I said, you know, the city of Desert Hot Springs is the only city that's not participating in that, but we are handling our own issues through our hub for right now. And if we get a ton of money, maybe it'll be something we'll throw some more money at, playing a little bit of politics there just to make sure that they felt that we weren't totally not wanting to utilize that program. But I'm seeing a big difference here now. And I go back to my initial comments, driving through the city at the same time, the same day. I don't see what I saw months ago, so I know it's working. I can see it. So I really appreciate everything you guys are doing. I've heard nothing but great things about your program, so I'm really happy we finally got there to bring the program to our community. My daughter works for another city west. She's a cadet for a police department there, and she answers phones a lot. That's what cadets do, right, Chief? And whenever they get a homeless call or an unhoused call, they utilize SWAG in their community, and that's the lieutenant, the first time she got that, said, call SWAG, and they're on it. So I know that's what we're doing now. We have our, what do we call it, the hot team out there, our, what does that stand for? It's
Homeless Outreach Team.
Homeless Outreach Team, which is made up of our police department, our staff, and our code department. And they're doing a great job on identifying areas, and then now SWAG part of that team to get out there and do this job. I'm already seeing a difference. I can't wait to see what else we get. My biggest gripe to Coachella Valley Association of Governments, and this is the weight that I put on my fellow council member here because he sits as the chair of the CVCC, which is the Coachella Valley Conservation Commission, is that we've allowed for so long people to just be unhoused and live in our conservation areas, which is a large portion of the conservation areas of Coachella Valley is here in Desert Hot Springs. And there's a lot of money to buy property. There's some money to put up some sort of barriers in some areas, but there's not a lot of money to maintain it or enforce the fact that these are conservation land. There's protected species out there that people are just housing themselves on, and their waste is going all over that land, and what it does is cause a huge problem in the future for us to clean up. So this is something that we have to really focus on, and now that SWAG's here and we've got our team and we've got everything in place, I'm confident we're going to get there. Sorry, I just need to get all that out. Mr. Gardner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I concur with you, and as, you know, as chair of CVCC, my number one goal, now that we have exceeded most of our goals in the timeline of purchasing property, is taking some of that money and doing exactly what you said, and develop what we can do with that. We do have an ongoing or an upcoming ranger program for the conservation land that's still under development, but we should have fully implemented later this year. And we gave a keynote address this week to the National Conference of Conservation Associations here in Palm Springs, and that was the number one message, is we've bought the land, we can't walk away from it. And I fully concur with that, and you have my commitment that as long as I'm chair of that organization, that will be my driving focus on that. Doria, I want to really commend you for this presentation. It's something that has been well needed. I am really excited. I too have seen the change in the city since SWAG has taken over. The one thing, and it's as we've discussed, is like playing whack-a-mole. Now we're getting Palm Drive cleaned up, but we're pushing them into neighborhoods now, and that's raising the concern of residents, and I know we'll address that. But you know, we have to keep pushing it out there. But I do see success in this model, and I'm really excited to see that continue. And you know, I'm hoping that a lot of residents see tonight's meeting, whether it's live or later, and pay attention to that slideshow, so that the perception that we're not doing anything starts to diminish, because we are doing things. And that was my primary reason for pulling this off the consent calendar, so that we could make that presentation. So I'm excited about this. I want to see it continue, and I'm very supportive of it. That's all I've got.
Anyone else?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Please go.
So I have two questions for the group, so come on up. So the first one is what, you know, you do this in other communities, so I'm kind of curious, what are your observations that you've seen different from our community versus maybe another one that may be distinct? Then the other, since the limited time that you've been here, what is kind of the trend that you've seen in that short time of the population you've dealt with?
Okay, good evening, Mayor, City Council, City Leadership. Thank you for having us. It's a blessing to do what we do alongside your law enforcement team and code enforcement team. We worked for 11 different cities, 2 counties, and although there's minor differences, you know, it's the same thing. It's addiction and untreated mental health. And, you know, people, it's not an easy subject matter to deal with. Both mental health and substance abuse requires the individual to be willing. And, you know, the people we serve are individuals who, you know, 0.001% of the population who really succumbed to the addiction and, you know, broke their family ties and ended up in a place that many of us here would think that is way past our rock bottom, but they still haven't hit rock bottom. And we are very thankful to work here. The law enforcement team and Officer Estrada, I hope he's watching, thank you. It's the approach that we need. It's a truth and grace. You know, what we're seeing with individuals out on the streets, you know, homelessness is not a crime, but being under the influence, trespassing, having paraphernalia, it's a misdemeanor. And in some communities, that's just, you know, they turn the other cheek and let that happen. And it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help the community. It doesn't help the individuals that are deep in that addiction. I started doing this 15 years ago for the city of Riverside when they first created a homeless program. And we worked alongside POP officers who took that same approach. And I saw how effective we could be when law enforcement is raising rock bottom. And you know, through what Doria had mentioned, through Prop 4757 and AB 109, things had changed and weakened the laws and really allowed people to remain in their addiction. And so, it's not an easy thing to take on. There's so many complications with insurance gets involved for substance abuse treatment and mental health treatment, and that's never a quick process to get somebody's insurance right. So there's all these hurdles that make it very uncomfortable and not an easy task. And so, it's easy from our perspective to see why, people fall through the cracks and remain on the streets. And there's no secret recipe. We take on a lot of different psychological approaches with people, motivational interviewing, and really dig deep to try to reach somebody. But it really comes down to facilitating a rock bottom situation. And, we can love on people as much as we want, but, I personally have asked people 100 days in a row, let's get you somewhere, let's get you a place, but the addiction is so much stronger. So law enforcement and code enforcement help raise that rock bottom and say, you know what, you are committing these crimes, and we're not going to allow this anymore. And sometimes they'll say, go with swag and we won't arrest you today, just generally speaking. And we've had people jump out of the cars on the freeway, jump out of our car. So the approach that works, and that's what law enforcement here is taking. You committed a crime, we're going to hold you accountable. Swag's right here. We're glad to meet you wherever you are afterwards and help you out of the very difficult process. It's not going to be easy. We don't promise miracles, but many of us have been through the process and understand what it takes. And that's the winning recipe, and it doesn't happen quick. I appreciate what you guys have seen visually, what you said, Councilman. It does push people into other areas, but we can't allow people to be comfortable in that uncomfortable state. And the approach that, I'm not speaking on behalf of the city, but we care about you this much that this team, the homeless outreach team, will work with you through days and weeks of treatment. But we're also on the flip side not going to allow you to commit crimes that not only affect you, but affect the community at large. So, and again, this is in all the cities we work in and have worked in, it's the same thing. And I'm truly appreciative of the effort. We've ended projects, I've ended projects when law enforcement wanted to have a hands-off approach, because we'll just be wasting the city's money, honestly, because it's so difficult. The pull of addiction is so much stronger than our, hugs and well wishes.
That answer your question?
Yep.
Try to keep it brief. It's complicated, but.
No, it was good.
Ms. Pye?
You don't have to stand there. I'm going to talk about you, but you don't have to stand
Okay.
To answer your question, they do tough love. I've talked to people who, as you said, not discounting anything, we're doing something different. And when swag got in there, tough love, it was something totally different. But the homeless people, I said, what do you think? They're doing the right thing, is what they told me. They told me Riff Raff is not in charge anymore. I've seen a lady who was there several months. Now, because of tough love, she's doing okay. She has a home, and she just told me yesterday she bought a car. There was another guy, he was drunk all the time, and you guys knew it and said, you can't do that. Well, that's not the right thing. But he did get sober, and he volunteers now at the senior center. There was another guy, didn't know where he was going to be, and now he works for the city. I, like your daughter, would give money, and I'd say, I'm not going to give you any more. Well, I gave him $20 probably 5 times. But I learned from you, don't do it. But what I've seen is people rehabilitated. And I wasn't seeing that before. And when the people that are homeless come and tell you they're doing the right thing, That's a good touch. I'm done.
Mr. Pitts?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm so supportive of this program, and I thank the city for taking this direction. In some words, we pivoted. It's a pivot. And I think we tried to do the right thing, obviously. And I think this is a great pivot. Our hearts go out, obviously, to the homeless, but I think this is a great program. Everything we're talking about today, just to piggyback, I think this is a great new direction for that. And thank you for your services and staff, the city, for going this and making this pivot, this direction.
One quick thing too, with our swag folks, and it dawned on me when you brought up addiction. A couple of 3 years ago, we had a number of our fine spas decide that they were going to become rehab centers. And as part of our conditioning for them to be able to convert from being a hotel to a rehab center was that they provide a certain number of beds for treatment for Desert Hot Springs residents. So I'm hoping that's also part of it. I don't want to forget that. We did that several years ago, and it's kind of gone by. I don't think very many people even took advantage of it, but that is out there. And I know if you work with staff, they can give you those facilities that promised us a bed a month or 2 beds a month for Desert Hot Springs residents for treatment. And you know, as much as I hated to lose spas, converting them to residential treatment centers, we did get a benefit out of it, and we need to be taking advantage of that.
With all that said, is there a motion?
So moved. Second. Nope.
There's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. That's all the items on our agenda today. We do have public comments. Anyone that didn't make public comments at the beginning of the meeting may do so now. Nobody coming forward. Oh.
I like this. I like this. You had different opinion, but you did it respectfully. I like this. I hope you know what I mean. Just keep it going.
Yes, indeed. Amen.
Before I adjourn the meeting, the upcoming meetings, just so the public's notified, we approve a calendar at the beginning of the season. And December 17th, the city council is dark. On January 7th, the city council is dark. And we'll be back here on January 21st. The Public Safety Commission will meet on January 9th and the Planning Commission on January 14th. Staff, enjoy your holidays if you can. Try to get some rest. I got a lot of work for you after the first of the year.
Let's take